Hello, everyone, and welcome to our series of podcasts on HPC systems and our journey to the cloud. Today, we have a great guest. We invited Lorraine Chapman. Of course, you probably know she's been with us for a very long time. She's been involved in some of the core aspects of the platform development team. She has been in different roles that had to do with platform testing, help coordinate all of the platform development. She has, for the last few years, also coordinated all of our internship programs for HPCC and had, as you can imagine, a fairly close sight on what's going on in the platform and what's going on with our interns as they develop and test our capabilities moving to the cloud. So welcome, Lorraine, and thank you very much for joining me on this podcast. So tell us a little bit what you've been doing over the last few months. What's in top of mind on your side, and what are you working on?
Well, I guess a lot of it's been dominated by the interns. So obviously with COVID-19, there was a lot of juggling around that needed to be done, but we did eventually manage to onboard 7 interns this year. A lot of those interns are going to be having some kind of contribution into the testing of our new cloud native platform. So that's really been, I guess, the main focus of what I've been doing, onboarding the interns and making sure that everything's running smoothly.
Very good. So since you've seen them and you've been working with them for the last several weeks, what's your perception of their experience? Some of these interns have used HPCC platform before, have used HPC system platform, and some of them have varying degrees of experience and knowledge on data analytics and big data. But what is the difference between what they knew before and how HPC was deployed on-prem or on native hardware and the new cloud deployments? Did they express any differences? What was the learning curve? Was it a steep learning curve or something that is easy or reasonably easy for them to get on?
Well, I think it certainly throws a spanner in the works for those that have been used to using the bare metal, and now we're saying, oh, and now we have this new cloud native platform, and they only have 12 weeks. So it's and they always achieve so much in that time. It's really quite amazing. But yes, it's another thing to throw in. We have 2 students on our program that have been working on cloud native specific projects. And one of those students had been using our bare metal platform before, and he seems to be getting on quite well with the new cloud native version. I think that's because he had been using HPCC systems on the cloud before anyway, but he'd been doing it with the bare metal version in, I think this is what the development team call the lift and shift approach to using a cloud environment. So I think he already had some background knowledge as a foundation for helping him to move forward, and he's making quite a lot of progress now. I think I'm in the process of working on a blog post with him at the moment that will give a bit of information on what he's been looking at in the last few weeks. And of course, as his project rounds up in the next few weeks, there'll be more information coming out on that. The other student who's working on a cloud native specific project is actually a high school student. And he also seems to be doing quite well. I guess he's been sometimes it may be better if you don't know the system before when you're starting.
You're absolutely right. Yes, if this is all new for you, it's probably easier to just get on it rather than convert your previous knowledge into the new things that you need to do.
Yeah, and I think also not having those preconceived ideas. And I think he's been raising some issues for the development team for things that he's found along the way, which is also very useful in really being, I guess, an early adopter of the platform, working alongside developers who have developed the system, so know quite a lot about it. And it's very easy to overlook things that people who don't know your system so well may not know. You're taking that knowledge for granted. So he's been kind of feeding into the process in a different sort of way, which I think is incredibly useful for the team. I think both of those perspectives are useful.
Very good point.
Yeah, I know we have some students who are working on projects that are machine learning related. So they are really, they've been getting going on the bare metal platform, but their idea is when they have got far enough that they have some results, maybe they can then generate those results on the cloud native platform, and we can look at some comparisons between the two. So it's a multifaceted approach, I think, to the testing, which I think could be quite useful.
Yeah, and these are early stages for these capabilities. Just to remind the audience, we have started with this journey just a few months ago. We released new versions, new minor versions, with a major version expected to be cloud mature by the end of the year. And so far we have added capabilities that you could consider alpha or beta testing, but it's still early, so it's not completely documented and bulletproof. But speaking of which, so how do they go about finding information about these capabilities? So when one of these students or any person that is trying to deploy HPCC systems on the cloud want to understand how to do it, are there resources there? I know that there are a couple of more than a couple. There are a few good blog posts. So what else is out there available for people that want to test these capabilities?
Well, I guess the main starting point is those blogs. So for the purposes of the people who are listening to this recording, we'll make sure that those links are in the accompanying blog post. But as you say, there are 3 main blogs that have come out from the development team to help people with getting started. And this is the bleeding edge of our sort of development work here. So obviously things are changing from underneath people all the time, which is the nature of that type of development. So so those blogs have been updated along the way, sometimes as a result of the students feeding into that process and saying that things haven't worked for them in the way they were expecting. The platform has changed along the way and changes have been needed. So those blogs have been a good resource for helping people to get going. And then I guess the rest of it is they've been trading on some knowledge that they already have, reading documentation from some of the Google platform, the cloud platform providers like Google and Azure and Amazon. So looking at some of their documentation as well, because those are the 3 main platforms that at the moment the students are looking at. Individuals are looking at different ones, but those are the ones they've been focusing on.
So this is very cool. But what's coming down the road? So what's your future in the short term look like? What's the next capabilities, and if you have any inside knowledge of the platform development team, also where can people find that more about that roadmap?
So there's quite a lot coming. We've already implemented quite a bit already, but it's in the early stages. So I guess I might describe it as we have the foundations and we're building on those foundations. And so with every release that comes out, there's more and more available. So we have, the basic capabilities for a cloud native platform with the Kubernetes integration. There's also Thaw on demand and container per process. Those are things that we've got right now. Later in the year, we're going to be adding in Azure blobs, being able to read from Azure blobs and from S3, which you're far more technical than me, but I think that's to do with getting the data onto the clusters, which is something of a challenge and something that is actively being worked on right now. And our bare metal system has a landing zone where you sort of stage your data file and then spray it onto the clusters. And of course, at the moment, we don't really have a landing zone in the cloud, but that is also being worked on. So there are aspects of moving from a bare metal system to a cloud system where we're having to find ways of doing things that enable our users to replace what they had, so that they can work in a similar way, but just in the cloud environment. So I know those are two of the main things that are being worked on right now for the next release, which is 7.12. But there are also other things as well. So they're looking at how you can track the cost, because obviously you're firing up clusters of a size to be determined based on need. And there's a cost associated with big data and the amount of storage that is needed. This is actually one of the things that one of our students has been looking at on Microsoft Azure. He's been looking at firing up systems with different configurations in different regions. And he's been discovering that even firing up a similar cluster in a different region can have cost implications. So there's all sorts of things like that I think we're going to be looking at as time goes on. And I don't want to rattle out the full list because that would take a long time. So again, I'm going to provide a link to a roadmap document which we have on our GitHub repository. And that has a bit more information, not only about our cloud development that's going on in the next year, but also things that are equally as relevant to our bare metal platform as well. So things like improvements in security is always a big one, because things always move on in terms of what people can do to circumvent security. So we're always doing new things to block that. Machine learning, there'll be some new machine learning bundles, lots of usability items that help people use our system much more easily, connecting HPCC systems with other platforms or applications, visualizations of data. That's been a big thing for a long time now and will continue to do so. And a few other things as well. So you can go and have a look at that document and see what the list is going ahead. It's likely to change. These things usually do. Some things will get added and other things will not be as much of a high priority as they were, depending on what's happening. But it's a good resource to go and look at to get a general idea.
That's very good. Yeah, I know that if I ask Richard, he will say, oh, go to Jira, everything is there. But the reality is that sometimes it's very hard to go and dig through Jira, and people might want to know a little bit more about what's coming down the road. So having that type of document somewhere that people can just consult, even if it's in flux and things might change later on, well, at least they can even express their opinion, right? They can say, well, I like to see this other capability that I haven't seen in that document, and maybe that can be fit into the development cycle as well.
Yeah, I think that'd be nice, wouldn't it, for people to have something they can look at and make a suggestion. I mean, who knows? There may be other thoughts that are going on in the developers' minds right now, but I certainly think that would be great. I think it will feed back into Jira. At the moment, I haven't managed to get around to putting the links in, but I will put links to specific Jiras that people can go and look at. And you can always use it in conjunction with Jira. Now you know what sorts of things are coming. It makes it a little bit easier to search in Jira to find out the individual items, I think.
Absolutely. This is very good. So, Lorraine, thank you very much for doing this. This is very exciting. It seems that these are very interesting times, lots of things going on, and very good work with the interns that have been making steady progress in a number of areas, including testing all of these cloud capabilities. As you said before, it is important when someone comes with a fresh perspective. They might not have the bias that we already have, and they might not make the assumptions that we have made for them. So it's good to get new people looking at things and perhaps coming up with ideas that we didn't have before.
And there are lots of blogs coming, so keep an eye on our blog on the website. I know there's a blog coming, a couple of blogs coming that are to do with the cloud-related platforms. And some others coming to do with machine learning projects as well. So keep an eye out, because those blogs contain some really good stuff. Our interns do some really good, valuable work that contributes a lot to our platform. And there's a lot there for people to go and learn about and find out things that might be useful for them in their use of HPCC systems.
Absolutely. And our HPC Systems Community Day, which is coming almost around the corner. a couple months.
Yeah,
So
it's not long
that's
now.
another exciting event, yes.
Yeah.
Which will be virtual this year, so everyone can attend, really. There is no excuse now. There is no need to fly to some hotel somewhere.
No, you can get it all coming through, and the students will be doing posters. Quite a lot of them are going to be entering our poster contest, and you'll get the opportunity to vote for your favourite poster. So if you attend Community Day, then you can go and have a look, and the winner of that competition will get a prize from our Community Choice Award, which is new this year.
Very good. That's great to know too. So thank you very much, Lorraine. This is it has been a great session, and I'm sure we will be talking in the future as well. I think there are so many things happening that there is always a need to know what's coming. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.